Welcome to Denier, my name is Lave, and this week I watched Denier, which is directed by Mick, who's probably most famous for directing The Bodyguard and Volcano. Here he's telling the true story which actually happened in the mid to late 90s about an American academic called Deborah Lipstadt, who is a historian who specialises in the Holocaust and published many books on it. In one of those books she calls out an English historian called David Irving, calling him a Holocaust denier and an anti-Semite. He's obviously not very happy about this. He constantly challenges her to debates. She just won't entertain him. She finds it preposterous that he doesn't believe the Holocaust ever happened. So he eventually sues her for libel and brings her to court over here in the UK. Now, before I carry on with my review, I have a couple of confessions to make. Firstly, I don't ever remember this happening. Granted, I was a bit too young when it all happened, but I have no recollection of it whatsoever. But I don't feel so bad about that, because after walking out of the cinema after seeing this film, I held the door open for an elderly gentleman and asked him what he thought about it, and he said he didn't remember it at all. And I thought, good, I'm not the only one. And secondly, I wasn't all that excited going in to see this film. I knew the premise before I went in, and it all sounded just a bit glum and a bit Oscar baity, and to be honest, I thought it was probably a story that would be more suited for television. But I was completely wrong. I thought this was a very solid film, thoroughly engaging all of the way through and incredibly acted. If you need one reason to go and see this, you should go and see it purely for the performances. It really is the creme de la creme of British actors at their best. First of all, I thought Rachel Weisz was really good as Deborah Lipstadt. I thought she did a good Queen's American accent, but she really conveys the struggles and the dilemmas and the emotional toil that the whole process takes on her. At first, she doesn't want anything to do with it. A lot of people advise her to just settle it out of court, but then she decides that she has to. Being a Jew herself, she feels like she has to do it for history and for her people. But what I find really interesting about the ordeal that her character goes through is not only confronting this horrible man, who I'll come back to in a second, but essentially when it gets to court, she has to take a back seat and she has to trust her lawyer and her barristers to fight her case for her, which the film does explain. So not only is she very frustrated that she can't speak up for herself, but she also feels the mounting pressure from the Jewish community and survivors of the Holocaust. She does have a really great scene with a Holocaust survivor. Andrew Scott is also really good as Anthony Julius, who was the barrister who worked with Diana when she went through her divorce with Charles. He's essentially the one who has to gather the evidence and recruits the team of researchers to help her. Him and Lipstadt do have quite an interesting relationship. They drop little nuggets that he might be in it for ulterior motives, even though he's fighting the good fight. But really, the best performance in this film is Timothy Spall as David Irving. Honestly, I hated his guts. And that's a really hard thing to say, because I think Timothy Spall comes across as a really nice guy. I think most people will know him for Harry Potter. I haven't seen him as Turner yet, but I hear he's very good in that. But he's an absolute powerhouse in this. You know, you get some antagonists in films that you love to hate. Well, I just hated this guy. But the film does a really good job of exploring his character. They make him understandable, but I still hate everything that he stands for. His performance is so good, I think he does overshadow Tom Wilkinson as Deborah Lipstadt's lawyer. He's superb in this as well. Again, he has a really interesting relationship with Lipstadt. He's really approaching it methodically, and she doesn't necessarily agree with his methods, but again, he's doing it for the right reason. He's doing it to win. And that's what this film is really about. It's really about the characters involved in this case, and it really explores the tactics that go into fighting your corner on both sides. Yeah, it just does a fantastic job. I was really engaged all of the way through. There are some other positives as well. Now, while the actors don't really look like their counterparts, I do like the fact that they didn't take the prosthetics route. I think that would have been really distracting. I think they've just let the actors perform their parts to the best of their abilities, and they do a fantastic job. And I also really like the fact that they did real location shoots. They do actually go to Auschwitz at one point as part of their investigation. Now, I've been to Auschwitz, and I think the film does a really good job of capturing how somber and sobering Auschwitz is. They really go into that room where they've got all of the piles of their possessions, just piles and piles of it. It's really harrowing, and I think they did a really good thing by taking out all of the sound apart from maybe the dropping of some water from some leaves. It's really effective. I do have some negatives. I think visually this film isn't very inspiring. It's not bad, it just feels a bit like a TV film. I wish they'd been a bit more creative with some shots. There were a couple of occasions where I thought that's a nice shot, but it was too few and far between. And I think that they do drag out the ending a little bit too much. You're literally just waiting for the verdict for about 10 minutes, and the only reason why I think they did it is to try and up the tension, but I didn't think it was necessary. But other than that, I thought this was a very, very solid film and supremely acted, and you shouldn't shy away from going to see it. So that's my thoughts on Denial, and pause the video if you want to take a closer look at my enjoyment tracker now. I was pleasantly surprised at how much I enjoyed this film despite the sensitive and somber topic, but really it isn't about the Holocaust or proving its existence. We all know it happened. It's really about the people fighting this case and how the law system, particularly in the UK, works. I can't believe that that's the way it actually is. I definitely think that Timothy Spall has put in an Oscar-worthy performance here. The only reason why I think he shouldn't be nominated for an Oscar is because I think it would give the real David Irving a platform to start talking shit again. No. Anyway, so thanks very much for watching my review of Denial. I really do appreciate it. If you can, give this video a like and don't forget to share the Lave. Did you hear about the Egyptian fisherman who fell out of his boat? He fell out and said, "I'm in denial, I'm sorry." Subscribe.